that right? What's your year?
2015, I graduated.
Okay. Class of 2015. I'm here with Pat. Okay. I'm gonna go with the first question. Do you know anybody who identifies as transgender or is currently transitioning?
No.
How do you feel about people who are transitioning?
I don't have any feeling.
Okay. 2. Do you know how any famous person who identifies as transgender? If you don't, do you think you should?
Do I know about one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In what ways do you think the trans community plays a role in our society?
Pursuit of freedom.
How do you feel about exposure to transgender accommodations in K-12 schools?
I have no idea.
Like, example, a gender-inclusive bathrooms and addressing the class with unisex terms. Like, instead of saying girls and boys, you saying class.
Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about it.
Just don't know. Okay. All right. How do you feel about the black community? How do you feel the black community receives gender inclusivity today compared to the past?
I guess there's more understanding, awareness.
Have you ever seen or been with a trans individual experiencing violence in school or the workplace?
Have I seen someone? No.
Okay. And then, hold on. Next question. Okay. And then, should educational professionals use gender-inclusive language to address their students?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And why do you feel like it should be yes?
Because they're students, and educator's job is to educate, so you got to be general and capture the whole group.
Okay. And then, do you feel comfortable having your child exposed to the LGBTQ and transgender community at school?
I guess, yeah. I don't have any control in general, right? So it's just media, news, stories.
Okay.
Person who identifies as transgender? If not, do you think you should?
Somebody that identifies as transgender
Yes.
that's famous.
Yes.
I guess with RuPaul count or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
that counts. In what ways do you think the trans community plays a role in our society?
Oh my
I
God.
mean, they're humans just like anybody else, and I mean, we all have something to contribute to society. Whether we're gay, transgender, or heterosexual.
Okay. How do you feel about exposure to transgender accommodations in 12 schools? This includes like gender-inclusive bathrooms or addressing unisex terms in the classroom.
That's fine by me.
Okay, like having a bathroom that says gender-neutral bathroom. That's fine. Okay. How do you feel about the black community receiving gender inclusivity compared to the past?
Repeat that again.
How do you feel the black community receives gender inclusivity today compared to the past?
I think that we're still growing and learning. It's accepted, but not as much as it should be. We're growing.
Okay. A few more. Have you ever seen or been with a transgender individual experiencing violence in school or the workplace?
No.
Should educational professionals use gender-inclusive language to address their students? Okay. Why not? Why or why not?
I mean, because they're just like, you address people how they want to be addressed. And so if it's he, she, then that's fine by me. It's like you address a man, he, or a female, she. And if a person is transgender, they want to be identified as he, she, that's fine by me. It's just proper.
Great. Do you feel comfortable having your child exposed to the LGBTQ and transgender community at school?
That's fine by me.
2 more. Should the history of LGBTQ and transgender communities be taught in history classes from 6 to 12 grade?
6 to 12 grade?
Yes.
Maybe I would say about 8th grade, 8 to 12.
Okay. So like upper or like high school or
Yes.
okay. Do you think transgender students should have extra accommodations to make them feel comfortable in school. Okay. That was all. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
What's your name? Sorry.
Hi, my name is Joy.
Joy? Okay. So yeah, do you know anyone who's currently transitioning? No?
No, I don't.
So how do you feel about people who are transitioning?
I feel like anyone who doesn't feel the way that they should in their body should be able to change it.
Okay. Do you know any famous person who identifies as transgender? If not, do you think you should?
I mean, I know of someone who has, but I don't know them personally, no.
Okay. In what ways do you think the trans community plays a role in our society?
I feel like they bring recognition to gender dysmorphia and being able to be yourself in the skin that you're in.
Okay, how do you feel about exposure to transgender accommodations in K through 12 schools?
I think that exposing children to transgender rules early shouldn't be necessarily forced on kids. I think that it should be more so something that should be implemented in the household if that's what they want to be introduced to. But otherwise, I don't think they should make accommodations in school.
Okay, how do you feel the Black community receives gender inclusivity today compared to the past?
I think the Black community is harsh because we know where we've come from and we're not really used to change. So when we experience it, it's kind of hard for us to accept.
Right. Have you ever seen or been with a trans individual who experienced violence in school or the workplace?
No, I have not.
Okay. Should educational professionals use gender inclusive language to address their students? Why or why not?
I believe they should, because if someone is being discriminated against, then that should be a problem. No matter what they look like, who they are, everyone should feel included in their environment.
Do you feel comfortable having your child exposed to the LGBTQ and transgender community at school?
I feel like my child personally would not be exposed to it, but also I wouldn't implement that at an early age because I don't necessarily agree with the lifestyle. However, I don't discriminate against people who participate in that lifestyle.
Should the history of LGBTQ and transgender community be taught in history classes from 6th through 12th grade?
I don't necessarily believe that it's important for us to learn, for children to learn about it. But if there's a separate class, I feel like maybe that should be a choice instead of implemented in the educational system.
And do you think that transgender students should have extra accommodations to make them feel comfortable in school, like more co-ed bathrooms and opportunities for outreach?
No, I don't believe they should.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think transgender students should have extra accommodations to make them feel more comfortable in school?
I think they should have more accommodations because they're a special kid. Like you're special, and you have to accommodate them in a way like, okay, say for the bathroom, choosing a bathroom is probably a big decision. Like we may not look at it as a big decision, but like someone who has went through a transition, they may want to use a gender neutral bathroom. They may want to, someone who identifies as they them, they may want to go to a neutral bathroom because that is what accommodates themselves. So.
Should the history of the LGBTQ community or the transgender community be taught in school from K to 12?
I think it should, because in K through 12, I remember learning about other identities and their history and stuff. And I feel as though those were much more violent than the LGBTQ or transgender. And I feel like really with the transgender community and their history is not as violent. So it shouldn't really be traumatic or anything for kids. It's not hurting them. It's in a way helping them.
Would you feel comfortable having your child be introduced to transgender people early, like kindergarten through 12th grade?
I think I would. If I were to have a child, I think I would want them to be introduced to the LGBTQ plus community, because I would have to sit down and explain later on to them versus like, I'm sending you to school, you might as well learn something.
Should professionals like teachers or school faculty use gender inclusive language?
Yes, I think they should. in high school, I had a teacher who identified as like, or her pronouns were they them, and like, you know, sometimes you could really mess up somebody's day by just saying, oh, she's over there and he's over here. And I feel like we should just, to keep peace and everything, we should just refer to somebody what they want to be referred to.
Have you heard or seen anyone experience violence or assault in the workplace or a school place due to transphobia?
I haven't witnessed it firsthand, but like when I was in school, high school and everything, I had to learn about Marsha P. Johnson and everything. So yeah, I hope I don't have to experience something like that.
Yeah. How do you think the Black community receives gender inclusivity compared to the past?
Oh, compared to the past, I think that like in the past, you know, you got grandparents, parents. The older generation, I don't think they're like more accepting to it, but like the new generation, I feel like they are open to it and they're giving the support. You know, at Pride Parade and everything, we see more younger people than we do the older people.
How do you feel about the exposure to accommodations through K through 12 grades for transgender people?
Initially, when like I first seen children being exposed to it, I didn't agree with it, but like it's now a society norm, so I guess I'm open to it. And I feel as though it's teaching them to accept people and things who are different.
In what way do you think the trans community plays a role in our society?
It plays a role in our society. I don't know. I feel like it makes people more open to things, to new things. You know, back then they may not have been accepted, but now you see people openly accepting and celebrating them.
Do you know anybody who identifies as transgender?
Yes.
Who is that?
My friend has a sister, and she's transitioning.
Okay. Do you know any famous people who are transgender?
I would say maybe E.J. Johnson or Jeffree Star.
Okay.